Boston, please make it loud for Josh Johnson!
I saw where the lottery, at least at the time that I'm speaking, has worked its way up to $1.8 billion. That's a lot. It's so much you wonder, should I?
Absolutely.
That's how they get you. You know, growing up my entire life, I knew people who played the lottery. And I don't know if I know any winners. I just know a few people went missing. And like hard missing too, not even a funeral. Like, I don't know, $1.8 billion. That means even after they tax you, tax is gonna take about half of that, right? Even after they tax you, you're probably gonna be a billionaire. Instantly. A billionaire. And I'm not saying this to like, you know, beat down on anybody or be disparaging, but it's like, who plays the lottery? People who need the money. So imagine needing money and then becoming a billionaire in like a day. A day. You needed 252. You had rent and a car note, and now you're a billionaire. A billionaire. You gotta capitalize it's $1 billion. Even if they get you real good, even if they tax you to death, you're still high millionaire. And with some good investments, you'll hit billionaire over time. Look at. I don't think y'all understand. This is the thing, we think we understand what billion is because billionaires keep playing in our faces. But we have no comprehension of how much money that is because we're people. Forget like multiple, a billion. You can't even waste that, $1 billion. You can imagine, I had some bad investments. $1 billion's worth of bad investments? That's enough to topple a small country. No, because I look at the billionaires of the world and the high millionaires, so almost billionaires of the world. And in a couple of the examples that I'm thinking of, right? If you make it to billionaire status, whether it's through valuation of your country or your company, or whether it's through valuation of your company or just general assets and everything over time, if you hit that billion status and you didn't grow up with a ton of money, like if you're already a billionaire, it almost doesn't count. You know, you'll see billionaires, they're the sons of billionaires, and they'll be like, I made my own thing. It's like, you didn't though. But you didn't. Like you never really did anything. Like it's, and look, I know you probably worked really hard, but your hard work had a $1 billion head start to it. So it's just, you know, you could make a bad idea worth $1 billion. If you put enough money behind it with enough time. Look at Crocs. And look, that's not me. No, look, that's not me just dunking on Crocs for the sake of it. I'm saying as a shoe, you are so unprepared to go into the world. Every time it rains, you kind of feel it. I've had so many fights with my friends over Crocs, and it's not about the Croc or the design or whatever. It's about the fact that it's a Swiss cheese shoe. The holes make it a shoe problem. It is not like okay. I live in New York. And we have far too many. I don't even know the number. We have more, I believe, rats than people. I'm pretty sure there's probably 10 million for every 2 people in New York. And one time I was walking with my friend who had Crocs on. Ill-advised, especially in New York. If you want to wear Crocs in, like, I don't know, like a beachy town, go ahead. Be comfortable. Let your feet breathe. Wearing Crocs in New York City, wearing Crocs in New York City is like wearing a shirt that on the front and the back says, "Please rob me." That's the level of prepared you are to go out into New York City when you're in Crocs. My friend was in Crocs, and we were just walking down the street, okay? Just nice little stroll, having a conversation. And then, as you would expect when you are walking in New York, as it is almost law when you are walking in New York, a rat ran across our path. Some people have to deal with deers in the road. We have to deal with rats on the street. And this rat running across our path judged it wrong. Was a little late. You know, usually when you're walking in New York, a rat will run across you real fast up ahead. This rat must have had some hesitation. You could tell this rat was like, okay. You know what? I'm not gonna do it. No. I'm not gonna do it. Actually, no. You know what? I can do this. Let me get. Ah! And then it ran across our path, but by the time it ran across our path, we were at our path. And this is upsetting. Sorry if you're eating. But the rat ran across our path, but by the time it decided to cross the sidewalk, we were already there. So this rat ran right over both my feet. And then it came time to run over my friend's feet. My friend in Crocs. And this rat looked exactly like, you know, with football players doing that spring training with the tires over here. The rat was nimble at first. It got through 2 holes, no problem. Third hole, rat tripped. Animals don't trip like people, you know what I mean? People might trip, be a little embarrassed, but we get up and we know we have a day to continue. If a rat gets tripped up in your crock, that's the rat's whole priority right now. Because to be fair to rats, they get trapped all the time. How is this rat supposed to know this isn't one of those rat traps that take you to rat heaven? And so this rat starts freaking out, starts like trying to pull the other leg out and everything, but then the next leg gets stuck. And so now this rat it has been 0.0 seconds, by the way. This rat has already tripped and is stuck in 2 crock holes. And is over here fighting for his life to get out. Is doing whatever he can. This rat over here, And look, I'll be honest with you right now, I don't even know if I imagined it, but I swear I heard it. I heard where the rat got free because I heard the little pulled the little foot out of the crock hole and then ran away. And then my friend, who had just been defending his Crocs, had the nerve to be like, I'm like, yeah, cut it off. You need to cut it off. Ran over my foot too, but look at me. Intact. No? And so you have even if it's not the company, the CEOs of these companies reach high $1 million billionaire status. You know? And it happens usually over time. Usually, if you don't come from money, you reach billionaire status or high millionaire 20, 30 years of your life. And being a psycho as well, like working 80-hour weeks and like just doing crazy stuff. And sometimes you get to get ahead because you cut some corners or you cheat some people or whatever it is. But then when you turn around and you have this like multi-billion-dollar valuation, you did it. And it took all that time, but like you're, 30 years removed from when you started. These billionaires, these millionaires, the ones that don't come from like extreme wealth, takes 20, 30 years of your life to get that money. And look how evil they are. I can only imagine. I can only imagine what happens if you get it in a day. Look. For any amount of lottery winnings and for any amount of like money, when you dream about money, that's what we do. Someone's like, what would you do with $100 million? And you might even have a list already. What would you do? And you think you know what you would do. And I'm not even saying that people are lying when they say these things. I believe that people really believe this is what they would do with the money. But then you're a billionaire in a day. Nothing can prepare you for that. Nothing can prepare you for that much money being that much power in a day. I don't know, like, I know what I'd like to think I would do with that much money. Because the amount of money that you've been living on is the amount of money you need to live. Like that, like, I know that in the US, like in America, that's like blasphemous to say. But it's like, even when I was broke, the amount of money that I had, which was not enough, was somehow still enough because I'm not dead. You know what I mean? And so obviously people need to get by. People deserve a higher quality of life and everything. I'm not saying this to say that if you're barely scraping by, that's all you need and be done with it. I'm just saying that sometimes you can get in your head, especially when you get a little more, that you need a bit more, and then you need a bit more, and then you need a bit more, to the point where people around the country who make six figures say they don't feel rich, right? And some of them making the high six figures. They've done studies about this and about why your brain never turns to rich when it's you and it's over time. You'll see millionaires say, well, I'm comfortable, but I'm not like rich. And then you're glad that it's through a screen, or else you might. But I don't know. I mean, what would that do to a person? A day. A billionaire. Who knows? Maybe money really does change people in a way that you can't even fathom until you have that much money. Maybe you get $1 billion in a day, and out of nowhere, you don't even recognize yourself. $1 billion. And you're just like, wow. Huh. I could use some slaves. I think that... Look, I don't know what makes you so evil as a billionaire over 30 years, but I can only imagine it's exacerbated when it's overnight. Like, I can only imagine it becomes instant when you get the money instantly. That's crazy. Because look, we all have a list. Even if you act like you don't, you do. If you want that much money overnight, You might have a list. There might only be 5 things on your list. Hey, I want to take care of my friends, take care of my family, want to travel, and I want to help in a way that I've been helping, but I didn't have the money to really push the help, right? So that's what, 4, maybe you have 5 things. But then after you do all that, maybe you have some money left over. What do you do with that money? Can you make another list? Can you make a bigger list? Maybe. But if you can't, you just keep trying. Oh, let's fix the roads. Let's try to fix the school system. But then there's still some money left over. What do? I think you might lose your mind. That's probably why billionaires are like that. Because think about it. Look, their list didn't have any of the stuff I mentioned on it. But But even though it didn't, it clearly had things that they cared about, whatever those were. And maybe they were only related to their company. Maybe they were only related to more business and getting more money. But even as those things got checked off and you tried to keep up with a list, you tried to make more goals and you were meeting the goals as fast as you were making the goals and everything. And then everyone around you is a yes man because they want some access to that money because they're also trying to climb, right? And then you finally have gone down the list so hard that you're just like, maybe Mars? What about Mars? Mars would be cool, right? Like, Mars would be dope. As people starve. Mars, though, that would be dope. And it's like, yes, it sounds dope. And I hope he goes. I hope he does. Like, that'd be fire. If he went to Mars. Spend your fortune as the richest man in the world to be the poorest man in the universe. Because I guarantee you spend your whole life and then you finally, let's say it finally happens, you have a voyage to Mars. And let's be as generous as possible. And let's say that like the rocket works, you already sent enough stuff there that it's not like quite the movie The Martian, but it is like that because you are going to be by yourself. No, I'm just, probably. And then you land in Mars, richest man in the world. Lands on Mars, gets out, is walking around and realizes that Mars is just like Arizona with some extra tent to it. Like, looking around like, oh, okay. Whoops. Because money is... We'd like to think that it's more than this, and sometimes it is. You can point to points in history where it is more than this, but like America is money. Land of opportunity. Opportunity is access, but it's also money. Money is how we define identity. Maybe you don't as a person. Maybe, I don't believe any one person is just their job or their net worth. There are things that you are that are deeper than all that stuff that's going to pass away. But that is how we as Americans define each other, is money. In fact, when you get your identity stolen, it's because they mess with the money. I don't know of anyone who said they got their identity stolen and it was in a Lifetime movie sort of way. I have yet to meet anybody who said they got their identity stolen and they know it was stolen because they came home and there was a dude who looked just like them hugging their wife. And they were like, honey, it's me. And then she was like, And then the imposter was like, don't listen to him, honey. It's me. Can't you tell? And like, hey, what are you doing in my house? And then the kids run in, they run up to him. Hey, Dad, who's this stranger? What? Kids, it's me. And they're like, we don't know you. Our dad's been home all day. And then you have to fight with this dude. And then, there's somehow a gun in the house that nobody knew about. And Then y'all struggle, and then y'all are spinning, so then nobody knows anymore because y'all were wearing the same thing. Who's the real husband? Who's the fake husband? And you're over, you know, you're just running around, grabbing the gun, knocking the gun out of each other's hands, and then, you know, there's some bounty commercials in the middle because this is a Lifetime movie. But then you pick up the gun and you're like, get out of my home, stay away from my family, right? And then the imposter goes, and then runs up to you and y'all hug one last time. The gun goes off and nobody can tell who was shot until what is it? Until the Nair commercial. You know, like Nair, that one, like... I've watched a lot of Lifetime with my mom and my aunt. And so then they come back from commercial and y'all are both backing up and you're like, somehow in a movie, whenever somebody has been shot and someone shot someone, they both react the same. I always find that very annoying. The person that pulled the trigger is like, but then the person who was shot is like, And then y'all back up. The gun falls. It falls in the middle. We don't need it anymore. One of you was shot. And everybody's backing up, and then you see some blood. You see blood, and then you see blood because y'all were hugging when it happened. So whoever got shot also bled on the other person. So it's been about 5 minutes and we still don't know who was shot. Very frustrating. And then finally, one of you goes, you'll always be my family. And the other one turns around and looks at you. And the wife and the kids go, Dad! And hug them. And then credits start rolling. The picture gets a little bit smaller because they got to roll the next movie right next to the other movie. So it's like it gets that little half-size thing where the credits are rolling, which actually sort of ruins the end of the movie in case there was any other note of anything that the director wanted. But anyway, and through the credits, through the little tiny half screen, you see the person hugging the family look up at the camera and go, and identity is never stolen that way. It's always stolen in relation to your bank account. No, because that's who you are. That's who you are to the bank, and that's who you are to any business entity is your money and the number that you are. You know. Now look, I would like to think that everybody knows that everyone's more than that, but that is how you break down. That's how you're calculated. You know what I mean? You're moved around as a number, and the numbers that make up the numbers you have are how people see you. You know? So when you get your identity stolen, it's not because they actually stole who you are. They stole who you are in a version of how people see you for your money. Having your identity stolen is terrifying because you don't know when you'll get out from under this. It's you. It's you. But the bank doesn't know that. You might as well show up to the bank like you just got home to see your wife and kids and there is an imposter next to the bank teller's booth right with you. Y'all might as well be shoulder to shoulder like, no, I'd like to make a deposit. No, I'd like to make a deposit. Because you also have to factor in what that money doesn't just do to the person, what it does to the people around them. Some of y'all may not remember this. I barely remembered it until I started just reading about people who had won the lottery and what usually happens. Because there's this myth that everyone that wins the lottery goes bankrupt and ruins their life. It's not actually true. It's about half. Which are better odds than winning the lottery. And the difference between the people who crash out and the people who do well are the decisions they make as soon as they win. And now it's almost down to a science. There are people who are financial advisors that seek out lottery winners to help them because they've done it for other lottery winners and stuff. But there was this one woman, it was crazy. This happened in the 90s. I think it was 1990, right? This woman was a server, and she got tipped a lottery ticket. And so she, put that lottery ticket in, and she won. She won $10 million. And then everyone around her turned. The people who were also on shift with her, they tried to sue her. Because I don't know if this is one of those restaurants where, sometimes you work as a server and everyone's tips are pooled together and then you split them at the end of the night. Or if it was just that they were saying that was their table. I don't know what all the lawsuits were, but I also know that the man who tipped her the ticket tried to sue her. Yeah. Her ex-husband even kidnapped her. And she had to shoot him in the chest. The chest is one of the wildest places to get shot. Because there's still some plausible deniability there, but you know where you were aiming. And then the IRS came for her, walls closing in all around money. Because people will do crazy things for money, and people will let the idea of money shape how they treat a person, Money is only second to people in the idea of something that's in front of you that means a bunch of different things. People can mean the whole range of emotions to you, but so can money. If someone won $10 million, if they won $1.8 billion, some people see that as money, but a lot of people see that as hope. They see it as power. They see it as like a salvation out of their problems. They see it as whatever your imagination can mold. Because there are some people that if you got given $1 billion right now, outright, there's so much good you do with it. And then there are other people that if you got $1 billion tonight, you'd be like, oh, I have some things to revisit. $1 billion. $1 billion means, you could buy everything around a person. You could buy everything around. Imagine for $1 billion, you could hire a private investigator to find your high school bully. All right. Because let's say they're not on, maybe they're not on social, not everybody is. And so you hire this private investigator to find your high school bully. And maybe this bully gave you like a really catchy, mean nickname, Maybe it was something that happened to you, something real bad. Maybe you got sick at school one day and maybe you didn't make it to the bathroom, right? And so he called you Wet Willie for 4 years, right? In this scenario, your name is Willie. And you hire this private investigator to track him down. Maybe his name's Travis, right? You find me Travis. And so then the private investigator says, hey, I found Travis. He's living in Connecticut, and he's married. And yeah, looks like they're pretty happy. And you're like, okay, this is good to know. And so with your money, you buy the house that's for sale next to Travis. You're moving in one day, and Travis and his wife are walking in to their home, and you're moving one of the boxes. Nothing in the box. You don't need to move. You can pay people to move for you, but and you're like, oh, hey. Travis? And he's like, oh, Willie, Will, wow, how have you been? wow, this is crazy. Are you? Yeah, I'm moving in. Right next to you. That's crazy. That's crazy. He's like, yeah, that is. Wow. This house has been on sale for months. And now it's, what a coincidence. And you're like, yeah, a coincidence. Yeah, that's what it is. And you see that not only do you have this nice house in front of you, but, ooh, Travis has a phenomenal house, you know? There's an HOA, so they're pretty similar, but overall, very big and very nice, you know? And right then, Travis's wife walks up, Susie. Susie walks up, and she's like, hey, babe. And then he's like, hey, Me and William went to high school together. This is my wife, Susie. And you're like, oh, hi. Nice to meet you. You shake her hand, and you're like, wow, this is crazy to just, you move to a new place, and you don't know, usually you don't know anybody, and now I got pals right next door. And Travis is like, yeah, this is wild, man. You should come over for dinner sometime. Come over for dinner. And you're like, oh, wow, how's tonight? And Travis, because this is the thing about bullying. A lot of bullies don't remember what they did. And even if they remember what they did, they remember it in the context of whatever they were going through. And so even if they were like a mean kid, they just remember being a mean kid because other stuff was happening. I don't know how often real bullies think about the fallout of their bullying and what it might have done to somebody present day, So maybe Travis is perfectly pleasant. Easy to believe. It's been a long time, And so he's like, yeah, I think... no. Okay, we do have a little date night tonight, but how about tomorrow? Tomorrow night, we should have dinner. You just come over to our place. We'll cook for you. And you're like, wow, yeah, Travis, it sounds great. All right, I'll see y'all later. You take your empty box. Walk into your new house with no furniture in it. But you don't need furniture. You're here for revenge. The type of revenge that only money can buy. And you're so excited, you don't even know if you can sleep. And so you lay on the floor of your brand new house. Because hate makes you comfortable. And then the next day comes, right? The next day comes, and you've had a private investigator on Travis for a while. You even had a private investigator on Susie. You already know her name. And so the next day, during the day, you go over to Susie's workplace. Susie works at a salon, right? And so you go over and you're like, hey, what? This is crazy. Wow. Susie, neighbors, and then I need a haircut? You do hair? Wow. You get Susie to give you a haircut, and when you're getting a haircut, when you're getting the wash, the shampoo, the conditioner, and everything, there's time to talk. You get to know a person. Or pretend to, because you already hired a private investigator. So you land in the sink and y'all are chatting it up, and you're a personable enough individual, so y'all are cackling back and forth. Then at the end, Susie puts the mirror in front of your face, and you're like, wow, a magician. Truly incredible. Thank you so much. And then you go to pay, and then you put a $10,000 tip on your haircut. Susie's floored. What? I can't accept this. You absolutely can. I haven't felt this good in years. You made me look like a new man. In fact, I don't know, like, I'm sorry, I never do this, but like, are you doing anything after work? And Susie's like, yeah, the dinner that we have. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. But, okay, I don't know, it looks like salon's closing up and everything. Dinner wasn't gonna be for a little while. I don't know, do you want to hang out for a little bit? We're gonna end up chatting anyway. Let's just chat. Let's just have a chat, and then, we'll head over to your place. And you're like, does that sound okay? And she's like, yeah, I guess so. It's fine. Yeah, I'll close up here. And then you're like, okay, yeah, hop in my car, right? And she hops in your car. It's very nice. It's ridiculous. It's whatever car is nice for the period we're in. So just imagine. Imagine the type of car, and it is that. And Susie's also impressed. She's like, wow, okay, you must have done very well for yourself. And you're like, yeah, I do all right. Because then, no matter what car it is, I assume it goes fast, right? And then he's like, actually, I know I'm new to the neighborhood and everything, but can I show you something? And she's like, yeah, sure, okay. And you drive. You end up driving to this like little patch of land that's off by the wayside, and there's a small little airfield there, and you park, and Susie's like, what is this? And you're like, oh yeah, I got a call, it was a text while you were doing my hair and everything, and there's just something I have to check out over here, so let's just walk through. And you walk through this little air hangar, and it's to your private jet. And she's like, wow, you have a jet? And you're like, yeah, I do. I mean, I guess it's a false alarm. There's nobody that needed anything. Yeah, nobody's even here. I tell you what. How about this? I know we're supposed to have dinner tonight at your place, but why don't we go to Paris? She's like, Paris? You're like, oh, I'm sorry, do you prefer Milan? We can go to Milan. What are you even saying right now? I'm like, oh, no, I'm just saying, we're supposed to get dinner. Let's have dinner. We can have dinner without Travis. And then she's like, oh. I don't know what to say. What is the tip? And then now he's invited. I'm married. No, I know. I don't know. Now? Yeah, now. Actually, you know what? And then the stairs. Wow, my heart is just skipping a beat. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. And you're like, great. And so then you both hop on the jet and taxiing and everything. And just before takeoff, you send Travis an audio message of the entire thing. You add a little something at the end. You're like, This is from Wet Willie. Because now you have $1 billion and you could be good or you could... Oh. Because that is how bad things are now. We used to make fun of people that played the lottery, and now it seems like a sound fiscal decision. It sounds like a sound business plan to save a little money, put a little away, and buy some lottery tickets. Just... Oh. It's either buy some lottery tickets or, you know. Lean in front of a BMW. You know what I mean? Like you gotta lean in front of a BMW, coming at about, I don't know, slowing down, so hopefully about 12 miles per hour. You know what I mean? Enough to do some damage, but not quite kill you. You know what I mean? Like when you get hit, it's gonna make that sound. You're gonna hear some stuff. Some of that stuff's gonna be you, and some of it's gonna be the car. You might even lose consciousness for a second, but you will, you know, hopefully wake up and... There's some real technique to it, too. I don't know if you saw that video. There's a dude who you could tell he was too... you could tell he was too nervous. He shouldn't have done this. And not just because it's fraud. He shouldn't have done this because you could tell his heart wasn't in the grift. You know what I mean? His heart wasn't in it. Like, some people, the grift is who they are. They buy into the grift completely. When I was a little kid, my elementary school teacher got into a fender bender, right? And got in a fender bender with this dude and bumped him just enough to get a little bit of separation, but you could tell that she had hit him. And he immediately got out of his car, went into the trunk, pulled out a neck brace, and laid on the ground, right? Which, if you're gonna do that, just wear the neck brace the whole time. Then you'll even convince the person that, you know, I'm not gonna tell you how to grift, but... So if you're gonna do this, you gotta commit. You gotta know long before this BMW takes that turn at the intersection that this is what you're committed to do. And there's a video of this dude. This still cracks me up, right? Okay, so this dude is over here, and you can tell he wants to jump in front of the car. Maybe he has the whole insurance scam planned out and everything, can sue, whatever. You just gotta let a BMW hit you and hope it's not a rental. Yeah. Oh, nothing would make you madder than getting hit by a broke person. And so then it's over here waiting, right? And like just from the CCTV, because this is how I watched it, right? Just from the CCTV and the clip, you can tell that there's some nervousness in the knees. Like the knees don't scream commitment. You know what I mean? Like they're not, his feet aren't amped to do it. They're not like hoppy feet. You know what I mean? Like this is like, ooh, I'm gonna do some fraud. Ooh, you about to get defrauded. Right? But he had more of a, oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. And you could tell he was thinking too much about how he was gonna land. That's the problem. Because you gotta know, if you're gonna jump in front of a car, you gotta know, okay, am I gonna be mostly grill or mostly windshield? All right? Both have their drawbacks. All right? Now, grill will push you forward. It'll push you forward an amount that will make you look dead to a bystander. So that is a good way to go if you try to do this with witnesses, and witnesses who are not in cahoots with you, right? Windshield is very dramatic, right? Windshield is very theatrical. Usually when you see, they do a lot of windshields on like Law and Order SVU. That's usually, like when somebody running from the cops and they can't seem to catch them. They give them just enough room for them to run out of the streets. For the cop who didn't feel like running to hit them with the cop car. It's always very convenient when it's like 3 cops and then 2 of them run after a suspect and then one of them is like, oh, all right. And then sure enough, they're always there at the right time to just bow, right? Now, if you're gonna go windshield, just know that some glass could crack, okay? And it's worse if it doesn't. If the glass doesn't crack at all, you got hit by a big bullet, okay? But if the glass cracks and you roll over the glass and maybe you land on the side of the car, that also looks very bad. But depending on how you hit the windshield depends on how believable the hit is. Because when you get hit by the grill, you're just taking the hit, right? Just boom, boom. High risk of being hurt, very high risk. Windshield looks a little bit more, oh no. Ooh, you got me. Oh, what will I do, right? Because you can't really control your body as it gets hit and it's on the windshield. So you hope you go over the windshield. That looks like a very bad hit. But if you stay on the windshield, it starts to look like your fault even if it wasn't. Like it's just, the optics aren't great. And if you slide off to the front, it looks like you didn't get hit fast at all. And so you see this dude, okay, whew, all right. And then he goes for it. But not only did I see him in the clip, in the CCTV video, like thinking about it too hard. The person in the BMW also saw him thinking about this very hard. And it didn't help that he chose to do this at an intersection, which means they were gonna be slowing down anyway. And so then he finally goes to jump into the street, and they've already come to a short stop because they saw him coming. But look, he's already put a lot of thought into this. He will not be denied. And so even though the car is almost at a full stop, he goes, Obviously, the claim didn't go far. But you could do that, or you could play the lottery. You know what I mean? Because I really do hope that the person or the people that win, have a good life and do something well with it. There's so many scams now. Sometimes if the person's identity is known, that's actually what ruins their life, because then there are scammers who will never meet this person, don't know this person, but then they will masquerade as them online, hitting up people around this person, trying to get whatever private information so that they can scam that other person, not even the lottery winner, And it's why people have become more savvy. Now you have lottery winners all over the world, not just in the US, and not just for the Powerball, Mega Millions, or any of that. Now you have lottery winners in the US show up with a ski mask on. So many lottery winners look like they're there to rob the lottery. And I don't know, I just look at the lottery as maybe one of the best metaphors we have for how America is. Because we all participate. That money is pooled together, and it is, and I don't mean in terms of ownership, I just mean in terms of how the money came to be there. It is all of our money. It is all of our money pooled together for 1 to 6 people to have. In fact, sometimes you'll watch the lottery. You'll watch someone win and you'll be like, wow, I worked at a company like that. That's crazy. Because some of what the lottery of trying to make it in America is luck. We like to think it's hard work, because then that means everybody could do it. But that's not actually the case. I know people who have worked hard my entire life, and they were on a hamster wheel. They were on a treadmill, and they were just trying to keep up because somebody was pressing the speed up on the hamster wheel. That's what it feels like is happening to everybody right now. You know, you're doing your best, and the speed just keeps... And then... You know, some people are on a treadmill where the speed just keeps getting increased. Some people, look, to their credit, they have some golden handcuffs. Maybe they're doing a little bit better than everybody, but the margins that they live in are just as thin. And so they're on like a Stairmaster. They're up higher than the people on the treadmill, but, you know, they still run the risk of falling off at any given point. And so the other person's running as hard as they can. This person's stepping as high and as fast as they can. Because if they can skip a step, it's not going to keep them good forever, but it'll keep them level for a while. And so everybody's working as hard as they can. People who make six figures are still thinking, I don't really have enough to get by. That sounds crazy to anybody who's living off of less than 50K, somewhere where the standard of living, you need to be at like 80K. There are people scraping to get by. And so rather than just accepting that this gym sucks, people just keep going as hard as they can until they either their heart gives out or they end up in one of those like fail videos. Oh. Because look, it's $1 billion. It's a billion. That's a lot. And I know it's the lottery, and I'm just making an example. I'm not specifically speaking to everyone to like go run up to the lottery office or something. Like that's not what I'm trying to say. I think that we have let the lottery basically become one of the better ways to get ourselves out of a mess, you know? And it only gets you out of the mess. Maybe you can bring some people along with you. That's nice. That is nice. But you don't know everybody. You know what I mean? Like, you know your friends and your family, and that'd be very sweet for you to take care of your friends and your family, but you don't know everybody, and you don't know everybody's intentions. You don't know what everybody's going to do with the money. You don't even know if giving some of these people the money is the best thing to do. You have no idea. And maybe it's why, speaking outside the lottery now, maybe it's why like people shouldn't be able to amass that level of wealth. Not because I want to take from somebody the thing that they have for whatever reason. Maybe they really did earn it. I don't see how, but like maybe they really did earn it. Maybe they deserved every like $50 million bonus that they ever gave themselves, right? Maybe they know their heart and they know that they really deserve this money. But maybe you know, they laid off a bunch of people and they bought a bunch of stock back and they did some stuff to do some stuff to get some stuff, you know? And so I'm just saying is, you know, it's one thing when it's a lottery, it's a different thing when it's like our entire, you know, because then they wonder, I don't know. Then they wonder, they're like, why is everybody so mad at us? It's like, oh, you can't not really get it. It seems crazy. And look, don't get me wrong. I'm an American. I would love $1 billion. It's probably part of the problem.
In all the years he's been on the show, Maury has never fucked up a black name. that shit. Over 20 years on the air. Don Twavius? Says it like it's nothing. I'll mess up the name in my head. I'll be like, that's not even a word. That can't be a name. Maury will just sit there unfazed. They'll put the baby on the screen. You know, like, the show been on long enough that now, even in our DNA, we know we shouldn't be on Maury. So even the baby look embarrassed to be on Maury. Like, even the baby, like, it's not my fault. And I'll see the screen below the name, and I'll be like, is that a 2 in that nigga's name? And then Maury, without even missing a beat, will like, when it comes to the case of 6-month-old Twain, I'm like, wow! He said it with his full chest. No ums, no uhs. Wow. Have y'all used Threads yet? Okay, a couple woos. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. It seems okay. You know what I mean? It seems like what the old internet used to be. You remember that old like AOL text type? That's what it feels like. I just can't wait for Threads to become a dating app. Because that's what happens. Like, men are too horny and nasty not to turn everything into a dating app eventually. Anything with DMs becomes a dating app almost instantaneously. It's crazy. Men will turn Uber Eats into a dating app. We'll be like, we'll get the pizza delivered and be, if she cute, you like, I got a whole pizza if you want to hang out for a little while. Like, dudes turned the phone into a dating app before dating apps. A lot of people don't know about it. So, in March 7th of 1876, Alexander Graham Bell was given the patent for the telephone. But they don't put it in the history books that on March 8th of 1876 was the first time somebody made a phone call and was like, "What the fuck you wearing, bitch?" And what color are those pantaloons? Oh, they're beige? Oh, you little trollop. Yeah, what color? I don't know. Whenever Tupac was murdered, it really was like Black Elvis. Like, we couldn't accept it. We were like, no, he went to Cuba because they was looking for him. Not likely, all right. But we never did that with Biggie. You notice that? Tupac and Biggie got shot within months of each other. And Tupac were like, no, he gonna come back one day. And Biggie, we were like, yeah, that checks out. That's wild. I can't help but think it's because Biggie was heavy. I think deep down we know if it wasn't the bullets, it would have been butter. You know what I mean? Like, Biggie was not long for this. It was gonna be the streets or the kitchen. One of them was coming for Biggie. You know? It's popped in my head this week. Sometimes you just have memories of when you were little for no reason. I've been thinking about my life and thinking about growing up and stuff, and I just had this thing. From when I was a little kid, I went to the grocery store with my grandma, and this was not a good grocery store. We didn't have it like that, so it was a discount grocery store, and it was pretty bad. Like, it was one of the ones where you go in and the meat is $3, but then when you ask what type of meat it is, the butcher be like, why are you asking all these questions, dog? Like, just take it or don't take it. And I don't know how to describe it, but there's a weird thing that when you're in a bad situation, but you're used to it, just feels normal, you know? And so I was hanging out with my grandma, we were walking, she was putting stuff in the cart and everything, and then we heard an argument that turned into a fight on the other aisle, right? And it's loud, and they're knocking stuff over off the shelves and stuff, and they're screaming at each other, and one of them's like, you don't get on my face, I'll shoot you. Yeah, like nothing you want to be a part of. And I saw my grandma turning down to go down that aisle, and I'm 6 years old, but I'm like, Grandma, do we really need to... And she like, I need the bread. They not fighting me, all right? And The night before I went to the grocery store with my grandma, I was at home and I was watching TV. And because we didn't have a ton of money growing up, cable was a luxury. And it was a luxury that my mom had to time. Because she wanted to give me what other kids had, but she just knew she couldn't really give it to me all the time. So we had to plan cable. So my mom, we would have it for 3 months, not have it for 6, you know. My mom would sit me down and be like, all right, so you gonna see the beginning of the season of Friends. But you're gonna have to find out about Ross and Rachel from word of mouth, all right? And so I remember this night was special because everyone had gone to bed without sending me to bed. So I'm 6 years old and I'm just up late. Everybody's asleep. I got control of the remote. This is crazy. I'm about to watch whatever comes on late. This is wild. So I was flipping channels and stuff, and in my head I'm like, if I don't keep it too loud, nobody will even notice. I can watch whatever I want. This is amazing. And when you're little, you're just excited for it to be late because you just never experienced late before. Like I was just running around like 2 a.m., 2 a.m., 2 a.m., 2 a.m., 2 a.m., right? So I remember I was flipping channels and I landed on Night of the Living Dead. And I watched Night of the Living Dead at 6 years old, which is far too young for me because I don't even know about real life yet. So I don't know if this stuff can happen or not. Side note, I found out years later, back in the day when they were making horror movies, like the early horror movies, their prosthetics weren't that good. So if you got hired to be a zombie, you were just ugly. Like that's... There's a little history tidbit for you. Anyway, I'm watching it, and it's terrifying. This is crazy. I was like, this is a bad idea. I can see why they sent me to bed. Nothing good happens at 3 a.m. This is crazy. So I went to bed, and then, you know, next day, wake up, go with my grandma to the grocery store, and as she's about to turn the aisle, we hear like a scream and a big, loud thud, and then silence. And I was like, Grandma, are you sure that we want to turn this corner? Because he said I'm going to shoot anybody in my face, and if we turn the corner, we're going to be in his face. What if he misses the person he aiming at, you know? He's like, boy, come on. And so then what we would find out later, what was actually happening, was there was a fight between 2 dudes in wheelchairs. That's why it was such a ruckus and everything was getting knocked over, because they get knocked over, but they got to roll back up. Punch. And so the thud that we heard was the finishing move from the first guy, because what he did, they had been scuffling and knocking stuff over with their chairs and everything, and then finally he just grabbed that dude by the collar and threw him out his chair. And so when we turn the corner, all we see is just a bunch of bread and rice on the ground. That dude done rolled off already. And so the only thing that I see coming at me is a dude with no legs crawling like this. So I'm like, my grandma would grab me and pull me to the other aisle. She was like, boy, what is wrong with you? That is an amputee. You need to have some damn compassion. And I told her, I was like, Grandma, I don't know what an amputee is, but that nigga is a zombie, all right?
I do wonder, and this is a genuine question. I'm being sincere. This isn't like, I'm not going to make fun of you or anything. Does anyone here believe in aliens? Okay. So, this is my thing. I believed in aliens so hard when I was little. Like, when I was a little kid, I was like, it's just us in the whole universe? Come on, really? Just us. A whole universe. That seems wild, right? And then as I get older, it's becoming harder for me to believe in aliens, because especially after everything up until 2023, it's hard to believe in aliens because Trump didn't mention it while he was president. Like that man told every secret. Anything they told him, he told us in an hour. Like they would be in the room with this man and be like, "You're not gonna tell anybody, right?" And he's like, "No." And then he leaves and he's like, "Folks," like that was. could not keep a secret at all. He had the leakiest White House of all time. And he never mentioned aliens, so now I'm like, maybe not. I don't know what to tell you. It's a tough one. For the people who believe in aliens, once again, I'm being sincere, I wonder if aliens haven't made broad daylight obvious contact with us because they think we're boring or because they've seen how we treat each other. Do you know what I mean? Like if I was an alien above Earth looking down all this time, I'd be like, oof, they don't even like when you have different skin. And I got 3 dicks, so they gonna kill me immediately, just out of jealousy if nothing else. God damn, might as well stay up here where it's safe. Ooh. I feel this is a weird thing. I respect that people have to be like choosy when they're dating, and sometimes you have to make choices based off, like you get a little inkling of a thing and you call it a red flag, or because you're like, I know how it's gonna go after that. And sometimes people are overly harsh about that, but it's necessary, you know? Like I think about my friend, I went to a club with my buddy and he had a full like almost rom-com experience. He saw this woman across the club, truly across the club. He was like, the light was just shining on her a little extra, you know. So then my man made his way over, and it was almost like the dance floor was parting as he was walking over to her. And then he gets up to her, he lays his thickest game on that he has. He's like, hey, how you doing? You know, mind if I buy you a drink or something? And she turns around and looks him up and down and goes, no. Nah, that's not what we doing. And he tries one more time. He's like, why can't I buy you a drink? Get to know you. We might like each other. And she looks him up and down again and she goes, your shoes. Which I know, that sounds super vapid. That's wild. It sounds really materialistic, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm on her side. Because when he looked down, both his shoes were untied. And it's like, yeah, bro, how did you... There's no better way to walk up to a woman and be like, you have to take care of me eventually, than to have both your shoes untied when you approach the conversation. How'd you even make it over without tripping? It's crazy. Dude, one shoe could happen to anybody. Both shoes hasn't happened since the 3rd grade, all right? If you approach a woman with both your shoes untied, you might as well walk up with a glass of milk in one hand and a cookie in the other. Talking about, you want to be friends? Because that's what the fuck you look like with both your shoes untied. It's insane. I was watching a movie this week. Have you heard of Downfall? Anybody? Okay. It's a German movie, and it's about the last 10, 12 days of like Hitler and the Third Reich. It was like when they were losing the war, and it's from the account of the secretary that was in the bunker of just like, you know, Hitler was freaking out and everything. And it got me to thinking, like, how do you contend with the idea that there's a higher power while watching all of the horrible stuff that happened around the world in World War II? It's like the worst atrocities against humanity happen, but also there's supposed to be this higher power that's fully in control and everything. And people talk about if they could go back in time, they'd kill baby Hitler and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, yeah. But if I was God, I think I would have just given Hitler a real high voice. Ain't nobody following him then. If that dude rock up and be like, listen to me. There's something happening in the fatherland that must be stopped. I don't even think you let that dude work fast food. You'd be like, nah, that voice too annoying. He's like, listen to me about the Jews. It's like, no.
I worry about family. I worry about my cousin because he an idiot. He is. My cousin is wild. So my cousin joined a cult, right? I know, which is a big deal for that cult because they don't get a lot of us. You know what I mean? Like they were so excited to have a black friend. That was crazy. They were like, and I remember somebody told me to join the cult, and so I went ahead and looked it up, you know, because I'm worried about my cousin. I want him to be all right. I look it up, and I could tell he was in danger because the website was trash. It was like, I was like, Comic Sans, he is in danger. All right, this is terrible. They really crazy out here. That's wild. Broken link 404 not found. Oh Lord, they might already did it. Okay. And so, basically, I went ahead and was talking to him. In my mind, the best thing to do was just go ahead and go to one of his meetings with him. Because the thing that cults do is that they create a shared language and a shared experience that no one outside the cult can actually understand or participate in unless they're in it. So then when you tell your friends and family about it, they look at you skeptical. They just don't understand because they weren't there, right? But if they come there with you, like if I show up with him and hear the dude preaching and just turn to him like, nigga, like, that might break it. And so I went there, and it was this weird house and everything. And I sat down, and including me in the room, the whole cult congregation was 4 people. And I was like, this is not a cult at all. Y'all just 2 idiots doing a guy favors. This is not, your cult can't even move a pool table. What are you doing?
I don't know if y'all remember this, but back in the day, before the pandemic, they were talking about putting Harriet Tubman on like the 20 or something. I don't even remember what bill it was. And it was like, everyone had an opinion immediately. There were people who thought it was great. There were people who didn't care, you know, a little bit, and then it turned out they cared. You know? And then there were people that were like, no, we can't have this happen. You know? And then Mnuchin said he'd block it, and he did, you know, so it never happened. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I need Harriet on the 20. What bothers me the most is how has Harriet Tubman not had her own sneaker yet? Like, that seems... Yeah, I mean, think about it. Who is more deserving of a sneaker deal throughout all the history of America than Harriet Tubman? Come on. If you don't know who Harriet Tubman is, she was the LeBron of escaped slaves, okay? She was putting up numbers. She got a lot of the people to freedom. Buckets. That would have been a motherfucker to be a slave owner while Harriet was around. You come outside, ain't nobody there. You're like... The commercial writes itself. It does. You know, I just beat the Golden State Warriors in my new Adidas Maxes. And it's like, oh, I ran to freedom. How about that? How do you beat that shoe? You don't.
I love visiting my white friends because they always got new pets. They always got new pets they think are normal. Because, like, we all read fairy tales and stuff. We were little. We all watched the Jungle Book. I don't know what was happening. I was raised by black people, so I have no idea what was happening in white households. But I feel like there were extra chapters in those books because white people really out here thinking every animal is their friend. Like, that's... Dude, white communion with nature is, like, almost upsetting. It's like... And I went over to my buddy's house, and something hit me in my face, like, real hard. And I thought it was a garbage bag, right? And I was like, it's not even air conditioning here for a garbage bag to be floating around. So I was like... And it was loud, too. Like, it hit me, like... And then I turned around, I was like, what was that? He's like... Oh, I forgot to tell you, I got a bat. You got a what? He's like, no, I got a bat. I'm like, where? What? What
what the fuck? You live in a studio, you have a bat. Where's it even sleep? And he's like, Josh, it sleeps in the closet. He answered me like I was being unreasonable. He's like, Josh, it sleeps in the closet. That's insane. It really is. I got another buddy. He got his dog. This is the oldest dog I've ever seen in my life. This dog, 22. It's so old. You know how when dogs get old enough, their bark change? This dog bark like, bark. It's half scream, half bark. The dog is so old, it got human problems. So he take your dog to the vet and be like, oh yeah, his psoriasis acting up. God damn. What the fuck does that happen? And then the vet like, yeah, he's got a little bit of dementia. I'm like, dementia? This dog gonna be meowing in 3 days. That's crazy as hell. That dog went, bark, bark, meow. And it's crazy too, because because his back legs, he didn't even have an accident. His back legs just done being legs. Like, his back legs are like, bro, we 22. Like, we are 6,000 in dog years. It's done. And so then they got him the wheelchair for dogs. You know what I mean? The wheelchair. But then, he don't really know how to use it, so he adjusts it. But now he can finally, like, really run again because it's wheel powered now. And so now he be running, but then can't fully control where he going. So then he'll be turning, and the shit look like Tokyo Drift. It's the dopest. It's the dopest shit I've ever seen, because the dog will get excited and start running, and they're like, no, that's fair. It's just crazy, because like when you okay, this is where you won't like me anymore. At least with dogs, there's like that could be your best friend, but you can see, oh, okay, they don't have a quality of life that is not good, so I'm gonna go ahead and, take them to the vet and put them down and everything. And nobody wants to do that. It's a horrible thing. Like, I've had to do it for a pup before, and it's very sad. But it is like, I think it should go the other way. Because every man in here got a boy where you like, he don't have no quality of life. Steve life in shambles, all right? Sheila left him, she not coming back. She happier now that she don't have him. So I think I gotta put my boy down. You take Steve to Disneyland and you just having a great day, you like, all right. I know. We caught you. I'll be vulnerable for a second. I thought I had it all figured out, I was sexting. And sexting's a very precarious situation. You want to make sure you're sexting at the right time, Because if it's like 8 o'clock, you still got other people texting you, You don't want to accidentally send a text that's incoming to somebody because you opened the thing, you know what I mean? And it's also like, what if you're not that skilled? Like, what if I'm not good texting with just my left hand? Now you texting typos and stuff. It's knocking the sexy right out of your sexting. It's like, I'm gonna fud your bass. It's like, nobody's into it now. So I had an idea. I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. And I didn't talk to anybody about it. I had never heard anybody doing this, but in my mind, it was the best thing to do. I was like, I'm just gonna speak to text. So that way, I don't gotta worry about the other hand and everything, and I can just like get in the zone and stuff. I don't have to worry about other people texting me and everything. And it went horribly wrong. Because I wasn't at home. I was at my childhood home. So I was in my room, but it wasn't my house, you know? And it was, 9 o'clock or so, and we were sexted that, look, I'll read you the thing right now. This is what. Okay. All right. So she's like, oh, okay, and what's good? What would you do if you were here right now? And then I was like, girl, I would tear those clothes off, and Mom, what are you doing in here? Mom, I had the door closed. You can't just open the door. I was just coming to see if you wanted dinner. No, I'm okay. Mom, get out right now. Boy, how you gonna tell me to get out somewhere in my house? I'm sorry, Mom, please, can you please leave and close the door? You know we don't have closed doors in this house. Which is true, that's a very black family thing of you not closing the door in my house. What you up to in there? I was like, Mama, please leave, please, please leave. And she was like, all right, what's the big deal? I was like, nothing, Mom, just please get out of here. So anyway, girl, I would say... All right, thank y'all so much. Y'all have a great night.
Josh Johnson!
We're clearly having a rough time. A lot has already happened this year. January was full of enough stuff to fit a whole year, And we're not okay. We put on a brave face, but we're not all right. Clearly, you could tell. That's a distraught laugh. It really is rough out here. Elmo asked us one question. It took nothing. Elmo just said, how is everybody? And the floodgates opened. As an internet user, I was embarrassed. The way that everybody just poured everything out to Elmo. If you didn't see it, Elmo tweeted, hey, just check it in. How is everybody? And 185 million views. What, 1 million replies? I don't know how many replies. It was absolutely crazy. Everyone just told Elmo everything that was happening in the moment. There's no better indication that we need universal mental health care than everyone responding to Elmo like he was in the room. That's absolutely insane. I can't believe, poor Elmo. Elmo probably smoking a cigarette right now, trying to calm down after the horrific stuff. Because some people were sending in video, all he said was, how is everybody? And then people under him, right underneath, they found me guilty, dog. That's insane. This is not real right now. Go seek real help. That's just crazy. I felt for Elmo in that moment. I really did. I have a lot of different feelings about this from a lot of different angles, but the first one is that I felt bad for Elmo. Elmo didn't know. That's why Elmo asked. You ever been that person? You ever been asking somebody how they're doing and then they tell you? You trying to make polite conversation. We won't even see each other in 4 minutes. Just pass by, how you doing? And then they're like, well, that's unacceptable. That is unacceptable social behavior. It's one thing if you say, how you do it, and they say, well, and then they don't really want to get into it, and then you ask because you care, that's different, right? I'm not saying you can never tell people what's going on with you, but I'm saying we've all been that person. You in the break room at work. This is your break. This is the only time of day you get to yourself. You in the break room, and then somebody walk in, and you sitting there trying to eat your Hot Pocket, right? Trying to eat your Hot Pocket that you brought for lunch, and you just munching away, trying to have a good time, fighting to find something on YouTube just to get through the day. And then somebody walks in, your worst coworker, you know who they are, they walk in, and then they try to put something in the microwave, and they're pressing every button, just everything, putting it on potato, on popcorn, everything. And it's awkward, because it's only the two of you in the room. And so you go ahead and say, like, how you doing? Just throwing it out there just to kill some of the silence, because you couldn't get your earbuds in fast enough, right? And then they go, well... I think I married the wrong person. And you're like, oh, no! I'm eating my Hot Pocket. I'm not ready for this shit. What's wrong with you? Just open it up like, I think, because it's like sometimes people grow apart. And it's like grow apart. But also it's important to fight for what you love. You gotta fight, but then when's the time to fight? Because like the kids love her. They love her. So if I lose her, I lose the kids. Even the dog loves her more. Maybe the dog loves her more because she doesn't do this. How about that? Maybe start there. Maybe the dog also is aware of who has the better vibes between the two of you. I don't know, man. I just feel like I'm married to my own casket. Oh, wow. That's rough. I got one more Hot Pocket if I can get past you real quick. No? How is everybody? Just Elmo asking, how is everybody? I mean, to be fair to us, I won't put it all on us. Some blame goes with Elmo, some of the blame goes with us. What a stupid question. Think about it. How is everybody is very much a 2012 question. Remember 2012? Remember Hope? Remember that? Remember back in 2012? 2012 was supposed to be the last year on Earth according to the Mayan calendar. And we were still twerking like nobody's business, dancing to that Savage song. Remember that? Hip swing, remember that song? We were all dancing, no care in the world. If Elmo had asked us then, we'd be like, hey, it's not all good, but it's not all bad. He decided till after global pandemic and election year, high inflation. How's everybody doing? Get the fuck out of here. What a lunatic. What an absolute tone-deaf fuck. How is everybody doing? You know what it feels like? Your friendliest friend. Just your real sweetheart of a friend. Like they're a good person, but they're annoyingly good. Like y'all be out together. Y'all be out as a group together, hanging out. Maybe 5 of you, 6, 7, 8 of you. And then you shut down the bar. The bar closes. Now you stand outside the bar trying to decide, hey, should I go to another bar? Should I go get food or should I go home, right? And y'all are trying to make this decision as a slightly buzzed group of people. And then a guy from out of nowhere, from the darkness, from the night, a man from the shadows will approach your group, right? And he doesn't look right. He doesn't look right. Everything is wrong. One arm is longer than the other. He doesn't carry his weight well. There's a lot happening. And then my man is just over here like walking up to y'all, and not walking up to y'all, really just slide to the... How's everybody night going? And then your friendliest friend, your sweetest, friendliest friend, this idiot, will be like, oh, we're pretty good. How are you? Why would you ask that? The answer will not be good. No matter what it is, he's not having a good night. Nobody moves like that. He's having a very particular life. How are you? That's the type of person that's gonna answer you in full, right? In full paragraphs, in a monologue. How are you? Walk up. Well, I think I married the wrong person. You see what I mean? I just want to be like a fun guy. One of the reasons I'm not as fun is that I don't always understand or am caught up with trends. You know? Like being hip is what makes you fun to people who don't already know you. You got good clothes on, you know, stylish, whatever. I didn't know what Stanley's I didn't know what Stanley's. When I found out about Stanley's, I thought white women had just got more into hockey, right? Like I was like, why is everybody shitting on them for just doing what dudes do all the time? But then I found out that it was a cup, and it's just a cup for holding water, and then I got upset. Then I was furious. I was like, you got these women beating each other in the back of the head in Target for a cup to hold what? This is dystopian behavior. They out here fighting in Target like it's Mad Max Fury Road. It's so upsetting. It's really crazy. I don't know if you've seen the videos, but wow. This is truly wild. Starbucks, I think it was Starbucks made some sort of collaboration with Stanley, and they put it in Target for this pink Stanley. Now, the pink Stanley has fallen right out of the Barbie movie like a meteor to destroy the white community, all right? This is really bad. Because then when you see the video, and we've seen stuff like this, you've seen Black Friday videos, you've seen videos of people swinging on each other and everything. That's nothing new, really. But this is what bothered me, is that there's one video in particular where a guy tried to steal one. He wanted to steal one. He wanted one, right? This man tried to steal one. Remember that. The whole story for one, okay? This dude ran up and grabbed a box. Now, to be fair to everybody in the video, there's no way to know how many are in the box. He knows it's one, but it could be 36, right? He goes to run off with the box, and the whole video is just one woman's phone, and she's just going, "Stop him! Stop him! Stop him! Stop it!" And she really didn't need to yell anything because they were already on his ass. Like as soon as he peeled off, they were all behind him, and it was a swarm of white. But I don't even know what you call this type of collection of white. But a bachelorette party of white women was chasing this man down, and they didn't just catch up to him. They grabbed him one limb at a time. Like this man was taken to the ground systematically. And then they look, I'm not saying at the end of the video they swarm him. I mean, I'm not saying they killed him, but you'd never see him again. All right, it's pretty jarring. Like they just swarm him, and his body just disappears. And I don't know which video y'all saw, but the one I saw, you hear him at the end of the video go, "Ah!" It's like that might be a death rattle. They may have really got him. That sounds like the last noise a man make before he go. That was crazy. He wanted to steal one. And look, I get it. He's in the store. It's a crime. I understand. But you never have bystanders step in like that. Never see anything like that. For a cup. Never forget this is a cup. I don't even know does it hold more water than any cup? This is absolutely crazy. People are stealing them and selling them out of trunks. This is crack for white women. This is out of a trunk. I got the white, I got the pink, I got the blue. You like fuchsia? I can get you right. It's absolutely insane. Then turns out they're full of lead. We've been beating the shit out of each other for lead cups like it's the Industrial Revolution.
slapping it. I'm not gonna lie to you. This low-key feels like a power play by China. I think China was like, this is the year, 2024 is the year we take America down. I was very weirded out by it, but also if it makes you happy, it makes you happy. A part of me even was kind of excited when I saw these videos, because I don't know, Stanley Cups, especially the pink ones, they're just Jordans for white women. Like, this is the last time I see that type of behavior, just openly being robbed of your possessions. Speaking of Jordans, this blew my mind. There's a company that is letting people rent Jordans, like monthly. You can't afford the Jordans, you can rent it from us monthly for like $19.95 a month. It's one of the saddest things I've ever seen. It's like, if you're one of the people in here doing it, then I apologize, but I'm about to talk about you. This is truly insane. Like, you don't own it. What a great metaphor for being an American. It's like, you don't own it, but you'll rent it, because no one is gonna check if you own it. Like, to be fair, I've never looked at someone's gear and been like, but is it yours? It's never occurred to me. If you're wearing a hat, I assume that's your hat. I don't think that's on layaway. I think that's a hat you liked, and so you bought it, and you must own it, you know? But now, it's created this weird thing for me, because what's the system like if you don't pay? Like the Jordan repo. Because think about this, how are you supposed to know? Let's say you have been making your payments, you're a couple months behind on those Jordans. How are you supposed to know if you get repoed or regular robbed? Do you know what I mean? You turn down a dark corner and somebody like come about them Jordans and you're like, no, legally do I have to?
You ready for your headliner? Yeah. I want y'all to put your hands together for Josh Johnson.
A while back, I got invited to a friend's house, and he had cooked for me and some of his other friends. And when I say cooked, I mean like he went all out. You know, it was about 6 of us all together, right? But this is like multi-course, 5 hours of preparation, been cooking all day type thing. So by the time we get there, there's a whole spread across the table. There's stuff that he's pulling out of the oven. And we were touched that our friend wanted to do this for us, right? Took his own money, used the skills that he had to make good food, to have a good experience, have a good meal with us, right? And so, you know, we sit down, and we sort of like half plated already, you know, when we sit down. And as soon as we get ready to eat, I guess he didn't pay his light bill, because as soon as we get ready to leave, the lights go out, right? And when I say we were ready to eat, I'm talking about napkin in and everything, chair all brought up and stuff, and then the lights pop off, right? And then he doesn't mention it at all, right? I'm scooping my chair up and the lights go out, and he doesn't even go, ooh, like nothing. He just, y'all, let's eat. And it is pitch black, okay? And in my head, I'm like, why? How often does this happen that you're not gonna say anything at all? Not acknowledge it one bit.
And so then, like, I'm sitting in the dark and I'm looking around. I can't see anybody, but I'm looking around. You know the way you try to meet eyes when something wild happens and everything. And then after like a couple seconds, he was like, wait. I'm waiting to hear why. Maybe it's a breaker issue. Maybe it's just, the block or something like that. And he's like, wait. Let's say grace. To be fair, when I say grace, I bow my head and close my eyes anyway, but it's different when the darkness is not your choice, right? There's something about saying grace in the dark that's genuinely menacing, okay? Because it's a prayer over your meal, but if it's pitch black and you hear somebody else go, Lord, please bless this food for the nourishment of our bodies, you're like, this one doesn't sound right. I don't like that. And it must happen a lot because not only does he not address it, but he is going with his fork and knife, and he's the only one out of us that's got any rhythm going with the plate, okay? Because he chose the right friends to do this in front of, because he doesn't mention it, so we don't want to mention it because we don't want to feel rude, We out here treating broke like a country, like I wouldn't want to offend his culture, you know what I'm saying? Like, if eating in the dark is part of his customs, let's go ahead and acquiesce. And so we're all in the dark, and I could have sworn I knew how to use a fork and knife. I was positive, because I've been doing it my entire life. But it's not until you're in the dark that you realize, at least me, I have no idea where my mouth is. Because we already had some peas and carrots and some mashed potatoes on the plate, right? But like I said, this is all like Thanksgiving style and everything, all family style. So a lot of the dishes are in other containers on the table. So I'm just trying to start with what I have. So then I go to scoop up some mashed potatoes, and then I stab myself in the cheek, right? So and he had done a good job with the mashed potatoes because they were nice and buttery, which meant I couldn't tell if I was bleeding or not, because it was just, because I had hit it hard. I got two prongs in the mouth and 2 prongs on the cheek, but I'm like, that got me good. I need to slow down, right? Because you're not really thinking about how fast your hand is moving when you try to eat. So then I'm like, let me go ahead and attack the peas. But the peas, I can't find my spoon, right? So the peas are gonna have to go with this fork, and they are slipping. I'm imagining they're going right off the plate. And so I'm trying to stab for some peas, but everybody can hear me just clinking, just hitting plate, right? And finally I feel a little thunk. That's a carrot. So then I lift up slowly. I bite a carrot. It's hard because he didn't actually cook everything well, just the mashed potatoes. So now I'm eating bad food in the dark, right? Because every time I do get a bite of something, the food is still hot because he did a good job of plating, right? So there was a little bit of little chicken thigh that was already on the plate and stuff. So I cut that up a little bit, put the chicken in my mouth. But now I didn't realize how hot it would be because I couldn't see steam, right? So now I have burned my tongue in the moment, and I'm doing that. And I'm not the only one, because he is the only one hitting any of this with rhythm. Yeah, I mean, like his fork, you can tell his fork slicing where it's supposed to slice, that he's scooping where he's supposed to scoop and everything. And everybody else, I'm assuming, is just making noise, because there are some, I don't hear any chewing. So I feel like the person next to me was just like, because the meat was tough, right? And so then, like I said, it was like Thanksgiving family style and stuff. So then our host pops up, is like, I forgot some of the cranberry sauce. Let me go up and get it. And for as adept, okay, he gets up, and all we hear is, ow. I'm back. And so I know that I'm making an attempt to eat. I'm doing my best, right? But then apparently someone else is, because from the other side of the table, I can hear someone, because once again, it's family style. I hear somebody, hey, sheepishly, hey, you don't need to whisper, it's just dark. Hey, real quick, okay. Sorry. Can somebody pass the green beans?